It's kind of an action, it's kind of a comedy. It's got like a little bit of a rom-com thing between Kristen and Zach that's kind of sweet. And it's sort of a heist that's pulled off kind of by the worst criminals you could imagine. Well, I remember in, I think it's in Body Heat, Mickey Rourke says to William Hurt, like, anytime you pull a crime, there's 50 ways you can screw it up. If you can think of 37 of them, you're a genius. And I think that our characters couldn't even think of 3 ways they could screw it up. So I think that's the problem. It's one of those, it's a little bit, falls under that category of you can't make this stuff up because it's so crazy, what actually happened in real life. So I've been sort of surprised here. So wait, he really did go hide down in Mexico? They really did hire someone to go kill him down there? It's a bizarre story. I've really enjoyed having him around. I met him the first day, and Zach plays David Gant, and so I think it's probably been nice for Zach also to have him around. But yeah, he's like, I think that's what allowed him to be able to kind of pull off that job, is that he is such a nice guy, and that you wouldn't expect him to have robbed this place. I think ultimately it's kind of a comedy, and I think that Zach, aside from being really funny, also kind of is able to make it kind of, he's from North Carolina, so he kind of, I think, knows he's sort of, this kind of character type, and so he's able to bring a lot of authenticity to the part. The character I play is called Steve Chambers, and he's kind of fancies himself sort of an alpha dog and the guy that's kind of pulling the strings, and not a tremendously likable person. I think he just kind of wants to look cool, and that's kind of a relatable thing. So the way I'm able to convince them is that he is sort of persuasive. And people, like I was saying, that he sort of has kind of positioned himself as the alpha dog among his group, where they all kind of get their marching orders from him. The relationship between me and Michelle, who's played by Mary Elizabeth, who's great, it's a little bit like a lot of marriages, where at first it seems like, okay, the guy is sort of, kind of dictating policy, but then you kind of realize it's really her that's kind of has the upper hand, and she's almost able to manipulate me, and so I think it's a funny dynamic between them. When I first became involved with the movie, that Zach and I were going to do it, and they hadn't figured out who was going to play the girl, so I was excited when I heard that Kristen was going to do it, just from, thinking that she's, really good and funny and stuff. So I was excited when I heard she was going to be in the movie, and then now that we're working with her, I think she's great. Jared Hess is directing the movie, and he, that's usually kind of the feeling of on set is usually kind of starts with the director, and then Jared is so kind of easygoing, and but also knows kind of what he wants, so you feel that somebody's steering the ship, but I think he kind of encourages us to do stuff or to try any ideas that we have. So it's nice to feel supported in that way. I think that, there was sort of I guess a choice to be made with the tone. Is it going to be, because some of the stuff that's happening is sort of dark, we're trying to kill David Gant, but it's a little bit, a movie like Fargo, the stuff that's happening can still sort of be funny, and I think that's what this movie ends up being.